Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Quick Resume podcast. We're at the big 3-0 this week.
We did
for
it.
everyone joining us. We did it, yeah. 30 big weeks.
Every
podcasting.
every multiple of 10 is so exciting.
Right, it really is, yeah. I mean, I feel like every episode you should share and just give it to everyone, but at the 30 you should be doing something real special. But
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
I'm not,
we'll figure out how. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not even going to share this, but as always, I'm joined. Well, this is weird because I'm joined with the person who actually hosts the show, the big handsome Deck Marshall.
Hello, how are you?
You talking to me? Or are you talking to the audience?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, man.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent.
It's been it's been a pretty chill week. I'm going to be honest. I haven't done actually I've done a fair amount of gaming, but I feel like I'm in gaming limbo at the moment, and this is how I actually described it to you earlier in the week as well.
Everybody knows what it feels like, gaming limbo.
Yeah, it's that sort of weird phase where you got stuff coming up, and you're kind of bored of the stuff you're already playing. So we're not bored.
You don't want to overcommit to stuff before the stuff that comes out.
Exactly. Yeah, and a prime example of that for us is Battlefield 2042, right? We kind of want it, we kind of don't. The beta was a bit of a buggy mess, and then it's just like, can we justify a £60 purchase before the big stonky Halo comes out? And I think that's kind of where we're at the moment. But then if we just sit on our thumbs and be like, let's just wait to Halo, then we're technically not doing anything for like 2 months. So
nah,
it's a little bit. It's a little
under
bit
40 days.
Yeah, now, but we've been in gaming limbo for a couple of weeks. We've been playing some weird shit, dude. We've been going all around the block.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be playing Worms. I fucking hate Worms. I'm just going to put it out there.
Dude. Worms, for anyone listening, Deck is hands down the best person to play Worms with.
I'm not.
Weirdly enough, in all the years I've known him, this game is the thing that triggers him most. He just becomes someone I've yet to meet, someone I'm still being acquainted with to this day when we boot up Worms.
I don't know what it is. Every other game that I play that's like super high stress, I can just keep a cool head. I can be a cool little cucumber. When it comes to Worms and those fucking little pink bastards, then they just scream, "Oh, my back!" Like, fuck off.
Jesus,
I hate it.
I mean, you get to see it firsthand, right here.
And like, why does nothing work? Why does nothing work? When I pick a a grilled old granny or whatever it's called, why doesn't it tell me what that does? What is a grilled old granny? Why when I shoot an Uzi and I hit a floating bit of terrain, does it do back damage to me?
We're live. Chill out, man.
You shouldn't have brought it up.
Man. Worms is great, and I think the problem you have, let's face it, Worms is jank. I know it's jank. I'm not going to sit here and try and trigger you and say, "Oh, you're shit at the game." Worms is jank. Sometimes you shoot and it just hits nothing. It hits like an invisible wall and blows up in your face. Like, that happens quite a lot. And the controls are janky, especially like the vehicles. Yeah, there's no descriptions of anything. And I feel like something you use one turn, and you're like, okay, it did that. Like, I fired a tank and it shot 3 times. Next turn, you fire the same tank and it fires once and then uses up your turn. And you're like, what was different there?
The game is a dice roll. It's such a dice roll. It's
just, I feel like I said this to Jake. I don't know if you were in the party or not, but I just feel that there's like a dungeon master like behind the scenes of that game, and you're just always rolling for like initiative in every play you do.
It's mental.
But yeah. So we've been playing that. which is great fun. And yeah, this guy always gets so close and just fucking falls over at the last hurdle.
Oh, don't even tell. Oh, don't. I just forgotten about the whole
Yeah.
airstrike thing that happened.
I thought we could
Fuck.
maybe describe the scenario, but for anyone who hasn't played Worms, it's probably quite difficult to describe. But if you want to relive it, go ahead.
Okay.
Do you want to relive it? Yeah.
Okay, so long. It was a long battle of attrition. It was the map was like there were like 2 clock towers. You know, the game went on, and the sea level starts rising. You know, as it does. Okay, fine. As it ends up, 2 of us end on opposite clock towers. And so we're throwing grenades, we're like bazookaing across the, you know, it's pretty cool. I'm thinking I'm having a good time. Maybe Worms ain't so bad after all. And then there's this thing, what's it called? Like a W1 bomb or some shit. I don't know. Anyway,
WMD or something. Yeah.
and you use it, and a submarine comes out of the water, fires a fucking like napalm strike into the sky, like just a missile, and then it vanishes. And like, I thought that 1 turn later, that thing came back down, scattered napalm, burnt, does damage, you know, the rest. Anyway, it turns out it's just a fucking dice roll, and it comes down whenever it wants to, because I launched it up into the sky, and having watched my friend do the exact same thing, and it taking about 3 turns, maybe even 4 turns to come down, I teleported onto his roof. This is the play. This is it. I'm rubbing my hands. I'm drooling. I'm going to baseball bat that cunt off the cliff.
Jeez, drops the C-bomb. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And the second I teleport, the camera pans up, and I have to watch this bomb drop down onto my final worm, which has about 31 HP left, and one little piece of shit flame fall onto a weapon box right next to me. Blow me off the edge. I didn't speak for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was the best. Like I was saying, I don't think there was a scenario, a more heartbreaking scenario you could have died in that round. You did it. Like you peaked. Like
it was so stupid.
It was absolutely hilarious.
The thing is, it came down in like 2 turns, and I just watched it take like 4 turns. So why did that happen? Mm-hmm. And I've used it before, and it's come down like almost instantaneously.
1 turn. Yeah.
1 turn.
Yeah, it's random. It's just random. It was like mine I fired earlier off in the round as well. It took like 4 or 5 turns to the point I actually forgot about it. Yeah, it's random, and sometimes it's 1 turn, 2. It's just a dice roll, dude. But it was just, it was just the absolute best.
Dumb. I hate it.
But yeah, he hates it, but he loves it. Yeah,
this is a good time filler.
It's a great game to play with your friends, especially when like everyone is just kind of shit and they try really spicy plays and stuff like that. Like no one's taking it that seriously. No one's just like, oh, well, I'm just gonna baseball bat you all the time, or I'm gonna like. People are just, I don't know, just doing weird stuff and trying to make it fun. And it is hilarious. But yeah. So that's been one of our time fillers. We also dabbled. Really...
Sorry, what? I was just saying we haven't really had like jump back into Back 4 Blood, have we?
We haven't. No. Yeah, we kind of fell out of that.
It's because like we need 4 people to play Vet. Like we need all of us to be on.
That's true. Yeah.
So I reckon that's more why it's more of a time thing.
Yeah. I kind of agree. Yeah, we've all kind of been tied up a little bit over the last week or 2 with our own stuff. So yeah, like you said, we haven't had a consistent 4 on to like play the game or something. But I mean, even now though, like I feel like if 4 of us were on tonight, like after this podcast, I don't know if it's something I'd want to boot up anymore. I don't know. It's weird. I think I've kind of just fallen out of it. Like maybe with just all these little mincy party games we've been playing and stuff like that, it's kind of just taken the sting out of it a bit.
I noticed we'd gotten into a habit of playing it on the weekend when we had a bit more time, because I don't think like Vet runs is something you can just kind of jump into willy-nilly. You know, it's like an hour commitment, a mission, and like you can't just like, because if one of you bails, everybody has to stop playing, so you've got to have a decent amount of free time to actually do it. So I don't think it's a weekday thing. I think it's a weekend game, if anything.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that as well. Yeah, it's one of those games where, I mean, if anyone's played something, that has like a raid in it. World of Warcraft, Destiny. There's so many I could name, but we'll just do those. It's one of those games where if someone goes for dinner, you do kind of just pause and you wait, or you play something else. Like you need 4 active people to be there all the time. So you're always bouncing around, going off other people's schedules, which is quite hard to do during the week.
For sure.
Especially us busy boys earning the big bucks.
Yeah.
But yeah. So apart from that, well, we haven't really been playing too much, have we? I've dabbled in a bit of Apex over the last few days, mainly just to, which is, I say dabbled because I genuinely haven't played Apex in a very long time, which is very surprising to anyone who's been listening to this podcast over the course of our lifespan.
Yeah.
But man, it's so good. Like, even going back to it, it's hands down like one of the best shooters on the market, at least that we can get our hands on. I think I think we would really love something like Valorant, but obviously we don't play Valorant on consoles. That's not a thing. I do think that's right up our alley. But for things we have access to, like Apex is top. It just feels so good. Like,
it is.
I just fell straight back into rhythm with it, and it's just so fun, man.
It is. I don't have anything to add. It is Apex. We've spoken about Apex, but we haven't been playing it that much over the last few months because the Halo flighting's been around, and we just kind of fell out of the season because we've been playing bits and bobs of other stuff with Back for Blood and whatever. But I mean, Apex is it's amazing. I'm like a bit hesitant to get back into it again because I know that this season won't end until after Halo comes out, and I know I'm going to want to start playing Halo, and like I'm going to want to get into like the competitive scene for that. So.
It's going to be hard to juggle both for sure. Like,
right, so
even I know that. Like,
so I'm like, I don't really want to commit to buying the battle pass because I know I'm not going to finish it.
I don't know. You can grind it really, really late, like I did. I mean, I gained about 25 levels in like a day or two. Like, you really can blitz it towards the end and maybe finish it.
I know, but I just don't want that like looming over me, you know.
And plus, I mean, I know I have enough coins right now just to get the battle pass without needing to buy any extra. So I have 950 on my account right now. So I don't really feel like it's a huge deal. You basically get the coins to get another battle pass from the previous battle pass. So
stop it. Stop it. Respawn. Comms.
Stop feeding the addiction.
Yeah, it is. And I'm like a little bit fatigued with Apex, but I'm hesitant to get back into it because I know there's other stuff I want to play. But I watched the new trailers and the new season looks cool, so whatever, I'll probably get back into it.
The new map looks stunning. The artists, Ash does look cool, but the artist behind the new map should. I mean, they're always good. The new maps, all the maps on Apex, but I think this might be the prettiest map they've made, and that's saying something because Olympus is magnificent. But this one looks very, very, very cool. I don't know how well it's going to play, but aesthetically, it looks fantastic. So, I'm trying
to think what else. If they're like, I don't really know if I've been on much. I think I played a bit on Thursday. Yeah, we've just been playing Worms, but like I think I started a new run on Wasteland.
I saw you go on that at like 2 a.m. after we finished one of our gaming sessions. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I just wasn't really that tired, and I like those sorts of games because you can kind of, it's not high octane. You can kind of drift off while you're playing them. It's got like light storytelling. You can listen to a podcast while you play them. I don't know. So I've just been like dipping my toes in and out of that, and I really like that game. So I'm going to try and play. I'm in the mood for one of those XCOM type games at the moment. I've fallen out of what's the other game I've been playing? Metro for a little bit. I do like it. I'm just like. It's just first person shooter fatigue at the moment, I think. I don't want to play it at the moment. But yeah. But other than that, I'm with you, man. Very little time over the last week.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens, But all right, well, I guess we'll start getting into the into the news then. after
Let's
that
do it,
little
man.
intro. Yeah, you can take it from here, man.
Okay. Yeah. So we had of this. It was weird, right? Because we did the podcast last week and we wrapped up and we were like, oh yeah, because we spoke about what am I thinking? What am I talking about? The stream, the anniversary stream, the Xbox anniversary stream, because they just announced that week, and we are like, yeah, they're probably going to show a Halo campaign at this place, yada yada yada. And then literally an hour after we wrapped up the podcast, they announced out of nowhere on a Sunday night, they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to show off Halo campaign tomorrow.
Yeah,
wicked. So that was on a Monday, and obviously we record on Sundays usually. So that happened this week, and from what I can tell, the reception has been really positive, really positive. Which has just been a delight to see. I've said this on the podcast before, but I get just as much enjoyment watching other people be happy with Halo and than I do just like watching it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like I've just been so exhausted over the last few years, like with nobody being happy, and it's just like, oh fuck's sake, so yeah.
It's definitely. I haven't really been monitoring the reception behind it, but obviously, when we watched it, you just wouldn't stop messaging me in all caps.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And like just saying some really weird stuff that I feel I should redact. But yeah, I mean, it was insane, right? It was very cool.
It looks so good,
and I really like that they just. Yeah, it was just like really. It was a gameplay trailer, right? You know, it was just. I mean, a lot of people would look at that and just think, you know, like it's not like a polished CGI trailer and stuff like that. But that's, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it was nice just to see it in live action and like the sort of stuff you'd just be going around and doing. It was a very free spirited trailer. Like it was very just like, hey, this is Halo. Go have fun and shit.
Yeah.
You know, like
literally.
That's the kind of vibe they were going for, and it was just really cool. But I know if I showed that to someone like my brother, for example, who doesn't really play Halo, he's not into that, he'd just be like, oh well, it just looks really, you know, I thought Halo was supposed to be quite serious and stuff like that, you know, like what's all this about?
Yeah.
And I don't think it would really resonate with him that much. But
yeah.
You know.
I mean, Halo's always had a bit of a light-hearted undertone to it, I think, you know, even if the stakes are really high and they're across the series. But
not over the last couple. I'd say the last couple they actually kind of threw that light-hearted undertone out the window, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
I think with Halo 5 they tried to go with a bit more of a serious, like, we're telling a story, it's a single player campaign, you know, like sort of thing, whereas I think Halo 3 and 4 to an extent were a little bit more jovial and a little bit more
definitely. But beyond that, like I feel like I thought, okay, as far as like just a campaign reveal trailer goes, but also with the additional layer of it being a Halo trailer, I thought this was like a perfect video. In that
lengthy as well.
It was lengthy. We got good chunks of gameplay. The music was sincere. The music in this game is absolute banging. We got a little bit more info on like the characters, like, you know, the weapon, the AI, and the pilot as well, and how that like is going to play out. You know, the pilot like delivers like not weapons, like vehicles into you, like the Wasp at some point, and the weapon's kind of like a naive, like new AI who doesn't really understand the things that we're doing. So it's like it's like you know, a mentor kind of relationship, at least from what we've seen, which I think is really interesting. You know, and she's like, you know, what if he's a friend and he's coming down the elevator with like a grab ham, and she's like, it's not.
I don't think so. That's a cool dynamic, I have to admit, with that AI and stuff like that. It's almost kind of like, well, it's like a new AI, like fresh off the line, isn't it? And Chief's just like, it's not what you think out there, you know, like there's some secrets, there's some shit going on, you know, and she's just like, oh, you know, like, and Chief's like slowly, like, she's like kind of, you can tell she's, as the campaign progresses, she's going to start to see things from his point of view and stuff like that, you know. and not just be some factory issue AI sort of thing that she starts out as.
Well, yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see, because like she says at some point, she was designed to imitate Cortana, get Cortana back, and then self-destruct, which is why it's obviously the same voice actor, so it's Jen Taylor who voice acts both, and then funnily enough, it's Jen Taylor that also did the voiceover for the campaign overview, so the narration for it, which was, by the way, we should get her doing the narration for like all of Xbox's videos from now on, because like I say, like these sorts of walkthroughs get people really excited, where you have someone saying, as playing as Master Chief, you can do this, and then you get 15 second sequence of it happening. It's like, or even there, like, so it just, like, I think it just works really, really well. But beyond that, I wanted to sort of talk to you about how you felt like it looked visually, because obviously of the things that it got slammed for last year, graphics was pretty much the only thing. Because a lot of people agreed, even though it was criticized quite heavily, that it looked like it played really well. And obviously this was before the multiplayer had been shown off, or we'd got on our hands on it. So we now know it plays really well. And that all of the pieces are in place, the mechanics are in place to make the gunplay satisfying, and the sandbox satisfying. But yeah, what did you think about like looks?
Yeah, I thought it looked great. I thought it, I didn't think it was the best looking game I've ever seen. Like, I'm not going to blow out proportion, but I thought it looked very, very good. The scenery, especially, you can tell just how like high res like everything is, and how interactable everything is as well. You notice so many small things that go flying, or that happen with like explosions, and as he attacks enemies and stuff like that. The small little details of like, breaking off like enemies' armor, or like just stuff getting flung around in an explosion, and all that sort of stuff. The skybox was obviously fantastic, and
that ring just cascading over the top.
Yeah, that looked absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it kind of just felt like a living world sort of thing. Which,
Breath of the Wild, like, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of weird for Halo, and kind of new. It's very much, previous Halos were load into a level, load out the level, stuff like that is very segmented. Where obviously this is just you're literally on a living Halo ring, right? Which is like moving and shit, and yeah, I thought it looked fantastic. Really, really good.
Perfect evolution though. Like, at least conceptually, obviously we haven't played this, we don't know, but like in concept, they've said that it's like there are still, like, you do still go into bits of the ring, and then it will go into like a linear mission. So like you'll go into like, maybe a Forerunner or like a banished bit, and that will be more of a linear, which works. I think, it has then the appeal of it being like the open world Breath of the Wild style bits, and then you have like the temples, right, where you go in and it's like a banished structure, and you've got to fight your way through it. I don't know what it is about, because I think a lot of people have watched, like, if you have a look at the like ratio on YouTube and things like that, it's like really, really high, and like I said, the reception line has been really overwhelmingly positive. I think there's still some people who are like impossible to please, and maybe some like platform warriors who are like, oh, it still doesn't look that good. But I think the art style really does something for me, because I agree with you. I think, like, if I'm going to look at it with like an objective eye, I think it looks really good. I don't think it's in like the upper echelon of like good looking games. But you can tell all the detail is there, and I think the style does a lot for me, and I think the art direction is doing a lot for me. And we've spoken on the show about like how those things can often trump like graphical fidelity. Yeah, I love how it all looks. And there's like one particular part where he, the bit where he does the battlefield thing and flies up, jumps out the Banshee, shoots one Banshee, and grapples back into another one.
Yes, yeah.
That shot, I mean, most people, I don't think, even saw it because of what the fuck was like happening. But
yeah,
you could see off the side of the ring, and it was like space, because that's where the ring had broke, and you could just see like into the stars and space like under the ring, and it just looks so good. Like, there's such high sci-fi shit, and I love it. So yeah, that stuff was really cool. So that, in terms of looks, that's where I'm at. What did we think of like the gameplay and the sandbox elements? And obviously, like, we had the RPG systems as well, the light RPG kind of upgrade paths.
Um, yeah. Obviously, I'm all for it. I'm actually kind of blanking on the like RPG upgrade paths and stuff. I can't
Oh
actually
yeah,
remember that.
there was at one point like a brute dropped in and he had a launcher and dropped through a drop wall down, and then he went into a menu and Chief was like T-posing, and there were like
Oh
skill trees.
yes,
Uh, and he upgraded his thruster. And then he thrusted
yes,
around. He grappled a grav hammer and then thrusted around him and bonked him on the head. Um, and he upgraded it. The final upgrade on the tree appeared to be cloak for a bit after you thrust, which is why it went invisible.
yes, yeah. I do remember that. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's all pretty fucking cool, right? I mean, I guess the idea behind those is to just make, as you progress through the campaign, it makes equipment evolve and Chief evolve with it, you know, to an extent, you know, like you said with the thrusters, you go invisible and stuff like that. I wonder if there's a different path as well to take where, you know, maybe after you thruster you have a boost of speed or something, or maybe you get like a damage boost after ending thrust. Maybe there's like multiple directions you can go for each one.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, sounds great, right?
There was also one like at the very beginning. I'm assuming it's on the skill tree. It's probably the last thing on the skill tree for the grappling hook. At the very beginning, he grappled onto something and it like electrocuted them, and there was like electricity running down the grappling hook.
Oh, okay.
It was like the first
Yeah,
bit of like gameplay in the actual trailer. So I assume
yeah,
that's one of them to have like a shocking effect. So you could like disable vehicles as you're grappling onto them, stuff like that.
yeah. It
And
would
I
be cool.
think yeah, so just things like that, and I think that's like again a really nice addition. We'll have to see how fleshed out it is. Um, but you know, Halo isn't a hardcore RPG, so it only needs a
Hmm.
sprinkling of it here and there, really. But I think yeah, you know, it all looks really nice as long as the sandbox all comes together. That's the important thing. Um, which again,
I
I'm trying.
won.
Go on.
I wonder if because you said it's obviously quite light in its RPG elements and stuff like that. I wonder if they will go for more of like a fun route rather than a, you know, like previous in other RPGs. You know, you choose a route and that's the route you go down. You know, you're committed to that route until you find something that you can respec or something like that. I wonder if this will allow you to just change all the time. So you can go into a fight and just be like, oh, okay, the electric grapple hook will be really useful here, and then or you could just be like, oh, okay, actually I would rather have the extended grapple hook for this one, for example, where it like doubles
Mm,
the length of the grapple hook. Like you can
yeah,
literally just like choose on the fly. The options are just always there for you, sort of thing, which I think would be
that
kind of cool.
I think that's what the trailer made it look like.
But like, would you
But
be able to go back on yourself and pick a different route? Is what I'm saying.
I see. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I don't know. I imagine
that'd
they
be
will
kind of
because,
cool.
you know, like I said, it's not like there's not like a leveling system here or like like
Yeah.
specializing vehicles or like something like that. You know, it's so I imagine it will be, and it's not entirely clear how it works in campaign, but like it looks like you can have multiple bits of equipment at once. Like I don't think it's I don't know if you remember what it was like in Reach, where like you would find an equipment and then you'd have that until you found another one. I think you have
Hmm.
access to all of them, like as soon as you
Okay.
find them. So maybe like in the tutorial you find them one by one, and on your bumper, you can like swap between them on the fly kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because there were a couple of points in the trailer I watched where he grappled and then thrusted, and like he hadn't picked anything up in the interim. So I assume all of these things that are happening, you have them all at once, which makes those sort of opportunities even more crazy. Um,
I I think it'd be kind of cool if they did it in at least the way that the skill trees work. I mean, assuming they are skill trees and stuff like in the traditional sense. I think it'd be kind of cool if they did it in a similar way to like how Assassin's Creed Valhalla did it when you find your skills by like exploring and stuff like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like if you just go exploring and you do a mission or take down a camp or you do or you find like a secret. Or I don't know if they'll have like chests in the world or something like that. Halo's own version of that, and that gives you that armor module that allows your thrusters. You know that the upgrade that you go invisible after your thrusters. You know it's something that you find rather than earn through XP or something. I think that'd
mm.
be kind of cool.
I think it would be, but then I think it would detract a bit from the sandbox, which I think they want to be,
But isn't
the
that
front and
what they
center thing.
want? Isn't the sandbox the whole exploring part?
No, I don't necessarily. I
Kind of
think
goes
it's.
hand in hand.
I don't think so. I think that. I think there's more of a value in like being able to go into an encounter and being like, okay, here I have 10 options. Like, what's the combination of things I'm going to use, rather than going to that encounter and be like, oh damn, I wish I had explored that grunt cavern earlier.
I guess so.
I see what you're getting at, but I think like the philosophy is more around crazy stuff integrating and interlocking like those systems more than it is exploring.
Yeah.
But I totally see what you're saying. So yeah, that was like kind of the upgrade tree, and I guess like as part of the gameplay, one of the other big things that was shown in the trailer, because I'm just like playing it on repeat on my phone right now to remind me of what was going on, was the So the only I would say the only bit of controversy that's come from the trailer was like the how do I phrase this? I guess of the Ubisoftness of the game, right? You know that there's like outposts, and there was a brute with a health bar. So what? Give me the Tim take.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I did see that, I did think Far Cry. I did think Ubisoft. I did think taking down an outpost, that sort of thing. But again, I think it just kind of comes back to how it operates with the sandbox, right? Like you said, I don't see anything wrong with that. And that brute was obviously, he was like a mini boss. It's not like every brute you shoot's gonna have a health bar sort of thing, like it is in the Assassin's Creed games these days.
Exactly.
So he was a mini boss that you probably fight right at the end of the place you're trying to blow up, the outpost. We'll just call it an outpost for the sake of this discussion. But yeah, I did get kind of Ubisoft vibes, but then Ubisoft do it in a very, they give you some tools to do it, and Far Cry does a better job at this, where it lets you just approach it a bit more creatively than something like Assassin's Creed, where it's kind of just like stealth or not stealth kind of thing. So I feel like it's all about how it interacts with the sandbox. There's nothing wrong with that formula and going in and just taking out that outpost and making it yours, if you can do it in a multitude of ways, and just use your arsenal to do it. I would be fucking stoked to find a giant outpost and then just be like, let's just one man army this shit, like it would feel really cool. Like there's definitely nothing wrong with that. Yeah, that's my take on it, at least.
Yeah. I think it's a great point. So I was speaking to our mate about this, and he was saying, like initially, like, he rolled his eyes a bit when they saw like the outposts and stuff there, but it just makes me think like some of the like best, like most popular games of the last gen have had that exact formula, like whether it's Horizon Zero Dawn or Ghost of Tsushima or Breath of the Wild, even, right? So it's not. It's more about the execution, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not seeing any like towers and fast travel towers here. There is in the menu, there is a fast travel option, which is probably you travel to like the bases where the vehicles are dropped in. I imagine they're kind of the outposts. So it's not like a tower per se, but there are kind of those outposts. So that like you say, that whole formula, it's more about the execution, and I think like Halo's sandbox fits that so much better. Like you say, you can like just walk up to the front door, like hailing grenades and drop balls down there and like slowly pushing your way up, or you could like take like get a wasp in and like fly around the back, and maybe that takes you to like to the top. And it's not like Halo is a stealth game, so there aren't stealthy options, but there are loads of different approaches in how you like formulate your assault. So I think we'll just have to see how it's executed, but like the way that I saw it, and I think the way that the trailer was trying to show it, is that you can take these things on in however many millions of ways that you want. And so I think it looks really nice. And then the health bar on the brute, like you were saying, I like this idea of like named mini bosses and like banished outposts. I think that does quite a lot for the game and for like the story. You get a bit more information on the banished. Find like maybe we know weapon variants are in this game. They like they're in the source code. So like it's just we haven't seen, they haven't shown any of. So I imagine that there'll be like weapon variants in these outposts. Like, oh, here's a beefed up gravity hammer. Here's like a beefed up yellow needler, things like that. And then you can take them away and use them in the world again. So yeah, it depends, like you said, it depends how it interacts with the sandbox. But from what I'm seeing, and from even like on a conceptual level, what Halo is, I think that stuff all fits together really, really nicely.
I think so, yeah. And let's not forget, I mean, it's not obviously for launch, but that sort of shit will be way more fun with a friend as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like tackling that sort of stuff with a friend.
It looks perfect for co-op. Like,
yeah,
my
exactly.
God.
Which I think is probably, they kind of just, when they were designing it and making it, they're probably just like, yeah, this is going to be really fucking fun with a friend. And then they were just like, oh, co-op's not going to be there for launch. They're just like, it still works and it's still going to be really awesome for single player. But like, this shit's going to be a lot more fun with a friend as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, don't take obviously what I said negatively. Everything's more fun with a friend when it comes to just pillaging an outpost or something filled with aliens. But yeah, I do think that sort of thing will shine much brighter than it already is. Tackling it with a mate.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the only other thing I've seen like people talking about is like diversity of biomes so far, because so far we've only seen what they call like the Pacific Northwest biome, which is the kind of like trees and the green, and there obviously there's like the ring and the Forerunner stuff embedded in that. But I think some people were hoping that we saw maybe some snowy biomes and like maybe desert biomes, because like a Halo ring, like canonically, has a variety of biomes in it to sustain forms of life. Like that's kind of the point of a Halo ring, or one of them. And we haven't seen any of that, and it's making me think that maybe there isn't. And I mean, and that ultimately isn't a massive deal. Like, I don't think every game needs to have a forest, a swamp, a desert, a snow. So it depends. But what my other level of thinking about that is that they keep speaking about this being a games as a service, and they're gonna keep adding to Chief's story, whether that's in like the RPG mechanics or just like a big story expansion every 6 months or every year. That's can you imagine like E3 2023, a snowy biome with like how good the game looks at the moment, and like Chief's visor is like frosted a little bit, and all the snow effects and like white brutes, so that sort of shit. I can just see that being a perfect way for them. Like at some point in the development, they were like, right, do we split resources and make other biomes, or do we double down on what we've got and then start thinking about the other ones in the future? I think the answer is kind of clear.
Yeah, I do agree with you when you put it that way. But to think that that you will be in a similar scenery to an extent for a lengthy campaign, and then for, well, indefinitely, if you're a big Halo fanboy, for multiplayer, you that's a lot of like looking at the same sort of stuff and having the same sort of scenery and vibes for quite a lot of playtime. So it would be nice to definitely have different biomes built into the story, but I also don't mind having them as expansions as well. I could definitely see it. It's kind of, referencing Destiny as it's a games of service game. Obviously, it's completely different, but all the expansions in that game take on very different environments, which I think is something that I could see happening in
having
Halo
said
Infinite,
that,
like you said.
Back to the moon.
Oh yeah,
back to Earth.
I mean, for the majority of them, like obviously I think the most recent one with like Beyond Light and stuff like that took you to Europa, that really like snowy planet, which is such a nice change of scenery and nothing you've seen before in Destiny. So I do think something like that could fit in really well in Halo Infinite as well. So
yeah, and I guess like the other angle of this is that what they showed off in that 6-minute campaign overview was pretty much in the exact same place that the trailer was from 2020. Like when they go into the map, it's like the same area. So and across all the shots they did in there and the gameplay that we saw in this year's trailer, that you could see stuff in the distance that was recognizable from what they've shown before. So there is a chance that actually the gameplay they've shown us is just restricted to this one part, and maybe they're just holding it back. But
yeah,
it's not impossible. But I'm kind of settled with the idea that it's mostly going to be this biome, like with Covenant structures, Forerunner structures, Banish structures, and and then other stuff will come down the road as for expansions and stuff. But like you say, I definitely wouldn't say no. That would be lovely if there were more, but I don't think it needs it. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's one point I was going to bring up is the whole Covenant structures and Banish structures and all that sort of stuff. And Forerunner stuff as well. You're going to be inside like labyrinths of ships and like cave systems and stuff like that. So it's all, there will be a lot of different scenery.
Exactly.
But just you will find your way back to trees eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, brilliant. I'm trying to think if there was anything else in the trailer really that we haven't covered, and I don't think there was. Just other than I just want to say again that the music's fucking amazing in this game. It's so good.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I guess that's the other bit. At the end, they showed off a few new enemy types, didn't they? The little skimmers that are flying around. Then there's that. It's like assassin, the Spartan assassin who had like dual energy swords. Who's like he seems like a what do they call them in like horror games where there's like a persistent threat that's like following you around. There's like a name for them. I can't remember. They're like stalkers or something like that. Stalker type enemies.
I know what you mean. Yeah, they have a specific name. I can't think of it though. But yeah,
that, and then they showed off the
there's that Forerunner thing.
Yeah, what is it? Harbinger? Yeah.
Harbinger, yeah, something like that.
And she like smacks Chief through a tree at the end. So it's nice to see new enemies as well, because like as much as I'm glad that Halo is like being more Halo, I don't want it to be like a Combat Evolved clone. Like I would like to see some new stuff and like see the universe move forward in a meaningful way. So yeah, I'm glad to see that. Yeah, by far and away the that assassin guy looked amazing. Just like from a design point and hopefully from a gameplay point, like it'd be awesome if like you just get invaded by someone like that and have these like cool standoffs just out of nowhere. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And yeah, more enemy designs the better. Like I don't want to be restricted to just shooting brutes and elites and grunts.
Yeah,
I do want to be fighting other things. So yeah,
they're killing it with the designs in this game. I spoke to our friend who's like a verified Halo hater. Modern Halo hater, should I say? And I said, yeah, like, how did you find the trailer? And the first thing he said, I hated it. Which is what he does. And then he said, that chopper design is the best chopper I've ever seen. So like, I think if you're making people like him happy, then you're doing something right.
Yeah, for sure.
Lovely. Okay, so that's like generally our talk around Halo. I did make a little tweet which I just wanted to speak about, just because like on the map zoom out, I just had this idea in my head of like thinking about how the game progresses, and I just thought this would be such a cool way to do it. And I'm sure I'm wrong because I'm not a game designer. I'm just an idiot with a microphone. But like what it looked like was that when you zoom out, you can see like the width of the ring. So go to our Twitter, hit follow, and subscribe.
This is where you throw in our handle at Quick Resume Pod.
At Quick Resume Pod, yeah, that's it. That's the one. And you'll see with some really expertly drawn arrows, I have indicated to you that it looks like on the map there's like you can see the entire width of the ring, which looks like you can go to, and then the ring seems to like travel up off the screen. So I get this impression that you're moving like up the ring, because we know from the trailers that part of the ring is broken. So it just seems to me like it would be a really cool way to like have campaign progress move up and around the ring. So like you land on one side and you have to get to the other side. Basically, you've got to make your way around the whole side, assuming you can't fly across in a Banshee for whatever reason. But yeah,
but then that would debunk your biome theory, because if you were going around the entire ring, you would encounter many different biomes.
You would, yeah. But I'm just saying we haven't seen them yet. But yeah. But having said that, if the whole story is taking place on this ring, then there's like how many expansions can they make that take place on this ring? So because it might be the case that after the campaign, like the main campaign, we're done with this ring, blows up, whatever. So like, where are the expansions taking place, sort of thing, So
Yeah, Chief's like, whoops, one ring down, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because it was just an idea that came into my head. And then there's Craig, the Craig. We don't really speak about Craig. I think everybody else speaks about him a bit too much. So there's not been like a direct comparison from the Xbox account themselves, like comparing him and without saying it, obviously looks amazing.
I thought he looks better before.
Yeah, that's exactly
He's
why.
He's clean shaven.
Yeah, put a tie on him.
Acorn.
Yeah, but I give him a job.
He genuinely, the first one looks like he was on like chemo. He was getting
like a burns victim.
Yeah. Obviously, it looks so much better.
Little mohawk. Excellent. And there was we've got some more Halo stuff to talk about, so we're not quite off the hook yet. But there was a new multiplayer map shown today on IGN. I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't know. I'm looking at it now, though.
So there's I think it was like a 10-minute walkthrough of one of the new arena maps called Streets. It's got like neon lights.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice. We've spoken about like a total map count for the game and that we don't really have it yet. I'm hoping that it's decent, but the maps that we have so far are like vary from good to like very good, so I'm pretty confident in what they put out. As long as there's a decent amount at launch, I'm gonna be happy. But this one looks, at least look wise, all the maps look fantastic. But yeah,
they do. Yeah. I mean, wasn't it rumored? Obviously, it was a big rumor, but wasn't it rumored that there was like 20 or something at launch, which should kind of be ridiculous. That's a very, very high number.
It would, and I think that it's probably worth tempering expectations in that. Like a lot of the stuff
that's really high.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff from code is like couldn't be leftover maps that aren't used or stuff that's due to come. So we'll have to see. I've seen pictures of. What?
I just looked at those pictures you put and your comment underneath it. I'm sorry, I don't know why these pictures came out so small. IGN website sucks in all caps.
So
just
annoying.
Made me chuckle.
I literally have 5 minutes.
Tiny.
I had 5 minutes between clients, and I was I saw there, and I was just like quickly trying to get it in the notes, and it just wouldn't like come out at normal size. I was just like.
I just like the way you use small, and I know that I know that it auto corrected you probably back to small, and you were like, no, you backed over it and you retyped small.
You know it.
Oh god,
you absolutely know it. So yeah, more maps, and IGN have got a they said they've got a week-long IGN first thing with Halo, so I'm sure we'll see some more maps. I have seen pictures of 2 other BTB maps. Pictures again aren't necessarily final, but so we're at least looking at 3 big team battle maps at launch. So I guess there's that, and we're at least looking at 4 arena maps at launch. So hopefully there's a few more as well. But yeah, it looks very nice, that map.
It does. It looks very, very nice.
Following the controversy, well, not really. I mean, following the campaign, all the content creators from your mum to Dr. Disrespect did a reaction to and not us to the campaign overview, and Dr. Disrespect is on record talking about Battle Royales too much in the past anyway, and he said quite infamously that Halo Infinite will be dead in 3 weeks if it doesn't have a Battle Royale. And we've kind of covered this, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up because, and everybody and their mum has already spoken about this, but like, I don't think so, dude.
He's stupid. He's really, really stupid. I challenge him to a Twitter beef war. Like, no, what a stupid thing to say. Like, just because BRs have been a thing for a little while, like, there is absolutely no indication that Halo needs a BR. In my opinion. Yeah. The reception from the multiplayer beta was ridiculous. And I know that I played it a stupid amount and wanted to continue playing it more and more and more and more, but I kept getting locked out because they didn't allow me to play anymore. and I was literally only allowed to play one map.
Yeah.
So, and like 1 or 2 game modes. So,
Yeah.
screw you, Doctor
Yeah.
Disrespect.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just one of those things where it's just his persona, so he's just being like intentionally like controversial, and because like his exact wording was something like, "This game needs battle royale." Like from a spectator standpoint, it will need a battle royale or be dead in 3 weeks. And so I guess like if we're to like reduce it to just that, like firstly, who the fuck cares if there's people watching on Twitch where people just post poggers for 24 hours in a row? And like secondly, like is that really true? Like Counter-Strike has loads of views like on Twitch, so does League of Legends, and they're not. So it's just like you know, whatever. Show me your fucking credentials. Disrespect. Hey?
Yeah.
Got him.
You did.
And for the last bit of Halo news today, there was a new trailer. There was a live action trailer, which I assume is kicking off, well, I mean, somewhat kicking off the marketing for Halo. And we'll probably see some more live action trailers as well. But I'd recommend you go watch it. It was called Unspoken. And it like gives a brief bit, it's only like a couple of minutes long, but it gives a brief bit of lore into the soldier or the soldiers that got the tech from the Covenant that ended up fueling the Mignonia 2 shields. So, i.e., what Chief's armor is Mignonia 2. And then that is presumably what ended up going into the rest of the Spartan armors. Because it's adapted from Covenant, Jackal shields, like their arm shields.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was really good. I know a lot of people were really happy with it, and they're happy because it felt like it's channeling Halo 3 vibes a little bit because they did a lot of live action stuff for Halo 3. So yeah, I'd recommend you go watch it because it was good. It was
Nice.
good.
Nice.
All right. Age of Empires came out this week. It's Xbox's time. You know, we've been waiting 8 years, but it's finally happened, and we're getting games. You know, whether it's Psychonauts 2, Flight Sim, or Death's Door, which by the way is going multiplat now, which is probably a good thing because more people need to play that game. Age of Empires, Forza Horizon 5, and Halo. It's finally happening. And Age of Empires came out to some really good reception with an open critic score of 84 and some good viewership numbers as well. On Steam, it had a lot of purchases as well. It's just doing good across the board, which I'm really happy to see because Xbox, at least from like an Xbox PR standpoint, you know, they just need games that are getting good reviews. They just need them out the door, and they need to build this. It's like reputation. It's like a reputation thing, right? They need to like start getting this reputation of like Xbox first party can make a good suite of games, like a consistent suite of good games. So yeah, did you see anything about the launch tool?
I haven't been following it too closely, but obviously I know that it did launch pretty positively. Overall, I'll be keeping an eye on the sort of open critic score and stuff like that. So yeah, but I mean, obviously it's not my absolute cup of tea personally, and it's also not on my platform, so I'm not following it immensely close. But yeah, man, awesome. You know, there's not much more to say. I mean, we all kind of knew it'd be a little bit of a banger. The game does have quite a cult following, but you know, releasing these sort of things with such a big time gap between them is still always risky, right?
Definitely.
But yeah, obviously I'm completely chuffed that they nailed it, and I kind of look forward to the console version, which will be on Games Pass. Give it to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see, like, because this is now like the second IP that obviously Xbox has revived. I know it's on the PC side, but Flight Sim being the other one. I mean, I guess you could argue like Psychonauts as well. Maybe it's just like for like lucky timing that all of these things have happened to come out in the last like 6 months. But yeah, definitely, it's then there has been. We've spoken about the possibility of an Xbox version, and we know the studio and Xbox themselves have said it's not off the cards. But it will happen at some point. I just don't think it'll be anytime soon. I think we're looking at probably next year, this time next year,
late next year.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how it goes, really. But yeah, really happy for the team, and I'm really happy for all the Age of Empires fans. And like I said, I'm glad that Xbox are getting games out the door which are reviewing well, because that's what's important, I think, at this point. So
yeah, definitely. It's all good PR.
It is all good PR. Okay, so next up we've got more teasers. We've got loads of Xbox insiders doing these teasy things. So as are always name dropped in the podcast, this is coming from Jez Corden at Windows Central and also Jeff Grubb over at VentureBeat. So they've both now spoken about something called Project Bellfry, which is Bellfry.
I'd probably say Bellfry, but it could be Bellfry.
I think you are right. Bellfry, like I said, the first time round, is so Xbox are working with Stoic Studio, which are the team behind the Banner Saga, which I know of but haven't played, and I know it's like well reviewed, and it's got like a really unique art style. I think it's like a 2D side scroller, like Studio Ghibli-esque, like animation. Ghibli, sorry. And so they're making an exclusive game with Xbox, with the idea because a belfry is like it's a bell tower. It's a bell tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, the concept of the game is that you go out, do your shit, come back, upgrade your bell tower, but like beyond that, not much else is known. But other than that, it's like that similar sort of heavily stylized game, sort of 2.5D. But not much else is known other than that. But again, this is variety, man. This is fucking nuts. I feel like I'm reporting on a new project every week. And they're all from such a variety of like developers. It's just crazy. And like I've played some weird shit over the last year simply because it's been on Games Pass. And I think sometimes when stuff has the first party stamp on it and it's coming out of Xbox, it makes you want to play it a bit more because you're like, it's had more oversight, it's had more funding, so it's likely to be better essentially. So yeah.
And like you said, everything just kind of there's so much variety, I feel, in game releases these days. If you were to really go onto Games Pass and spend 5 minutes just looking around on there, it's just insane. Like the amount of variety that's there. There is quite literally something for everyone, or just something new for you to try. And it's definitely very, very cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, does this sort of game do anything for you?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I feel like anything that has kind of an RPG stamp on it and is stylized, I do have a bit of a soft spot for. I do quite like these sort of different style, like art styles and quirky designs and stuff like that. So potentially, yeah. I mean, there's not really much to go on, but if it is those two things in a sense, then yeah, sure. It'll pique my interest.
What was that game that we played, that co-op one a while back, where it was like quite stylized and you started at a base and you had to travel out and you like expanded your city a bit more and then eventually you got to a boat. Like you had and they were like little gremlins that chased you around. Like it was a really, really peculiar game, but I really liked it. What was it called?
And we played it together.
We played it together, yeah. It was like a 2.5D. In fact, actually, it was just 2D. And you started like in a safe camp and you would travel out in the day.
Oh, are you talking about the King one?
King Kingdom. Yeah,
something like that. I know what you mean.
That one. And like I really liked that game. Like it really did something for me. It just like a really weird like game, and it was really cool. You could play it co-op as well. I think it was on Games Pass, and then maybe it left. But I just had a good time because it's one of those games where it didn't hold your hand. You just got to figure out what the fuck's going on.
It was so confusing. Yeah, and it was really pretty to look at. It was like the pixel art style, wasn't it? It was cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find that. God damn,
it's definitely it's Kingdom something. Kingdom of Two Crowns. I think I just nailed it.
I think you did just nail it.
Kingdom of Two Crowns or something like that. I don't know. That just came out of my fucking depths of my soul. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I think you've absolutely nailed it.
I think it's just called Kingdom Two Crowns. I think actually
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, this is definitely it. Yeah, nice work, man.
I did it. Not just a great face.
Yeah, so like that stuff that I really liked that. I thought that was really cool.
It was. Yeah. It's
Makes me want
fun.
to play it. Makes me want to play it again. What's this? Two Crowns of Northland has been an expansion for it just in August this year. Wouldn't you know?
Why not, man? We're in
Hopefully,
game of limbo, so we might as well.
Yeah, well, see if it's back in Games Pass. But yeah, so cool. As always, excited to hear more about stuff like this, but we'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
So onto the weirdest shit of the week. This is just really a side note, but earlier in the week, PlayStation officially sort of labeled their a separate publishing arm, PlayStation PC, which I mean, it just gets funnier and funnier.
Why are they not being burned at the stake?
Why are they not being burned at the stake? Yeah. And the worst thing is, it's just quite a funny twist of fate because this is obviously a good thing. We here at the QRP, we think this is a good thing. But of course,
baby.
Exactly right. Everybody deserves a side of chips, and it's like, I guess since Xbox has now done it, you have to convert. You have to get used to the idea that as an Xbox gamer, that your games are going to be in other places, and that's just how it is. You know, other people get to play it, no biggie. But I think because if you're someone who's a platform warrior or is like maybe you're not even a warrior, just like heavily invested in the PlayStation ecosystem, to see that across the way, you can be like, well, I don't even need to buy an Xbox. And if that's your like the belief that you have like truly been harboring, and now PlayStation are not only rolling out their games this consistently onto PC and even making a publishing arm for it, then you're going to be probably a bit pissed off. And you know, it made people act a bit weird. People started saying weird shit, you know, death threats, stuff like that. Just like cute, nice. Like, you know, death threats. So, you know, that's kind of that. And I think I said to you, I think maybe it was on the last podcast when we were speaking about, like, you know, like God of War going to PC and like the possibility of a Steam Deck and all of that. But
yeah,
it's just a funny thing I just to mention.
I just don't think it would have been that bad, and their user base would have been more open to it if they weren't so just open with, well, just lying, really. just straight up lying. Literally, just like not even a year ago, they were just like, you will never ever find any of these games on a PC or any platform. And then they're like, PlayStation PC, everyone. And it's just like, that's why your fan base is angry. That's why they don't want to share their games, because you convinced them and you lied to them essentially. And now, I don't know. It's like giving a kid like a really fucking awesome present at Christmas and then telling him, this is yours, you don't share this at all with any of your brothers or sisters, and then like a week later you're like, you have to share it, it's not yours anymore. Like, you share this equally with your siblings.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not going to be happy about it.
And to be fair, like, I don't think they ever like explicitly went on the record and said like, oh, we're never going to put our games anywhere else. But what Sony do with their marketing is that
they did, didn't they?
No, there was that whole like, we believe in generations thing, right? And they were like, oh, we won't do anything cross-gen, and then like all their games were cross-gen. So they like let Xbox reveal first and take the heat, and then they're like, oh, we're going to do that as well, but because it's already happened, nobody really cares that much. But what they do, and I can't think of it like a particular example in my head, but what they do is that they're very reactive with their marketing. So like when Xbox first announced that they're doing like crossplay, I'm sure they said something along the lines that implied that PlayStation's the only place to play. You know, so not like drawing it out, but just being like vague and like stirring up the fan base, you know, into believing that like console only is the way forward and stuff like that. So you are right in a sense, but I just think, you know, we probably shouldn't crucify them. Like, I don't think they ever explicitly said that they wouldn't do it, because like Horizon came out the beginning of last year, I think. So that must have been a while in the works. Like, that was their first PC launch, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Right. So
yeah, okay. So they worm-tongued it.
They weren't still exactly.
It's still pretty gross.
Yeah, but, I agree.
Yeah, it's just manipulation, isn't it? But hey ho. So like you said, we're all for it. So it's the whole past and how it's formed into the present. That's a little bit annoying.
How it's communicated, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the whole holding games back for like a year. They haven't like announced an official plan, which they probably should, but they're not. I don't know if they're going to do day and date because it's a PlayStation thing to do, to hold it back for a year to then double dip on revenue, rather than like doing it all at once.
Can I have Final Fantasy VII, please?
Yeah, that'd be great if you could do that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, or at least a release date would be nice.
Yeah, that would just be that would be lovely. Oh God, timed exclusives. Who'd have them? Xbox acquired 2 hats.
Nice.
One for me, one for you. Yeah. They're just like a content moderation service, and they've actually, I don't think we ever spoke about it on the podcast. I think I must have missed it off the notes a while back, but it's a couple of months ago now, where Xbox acquired like a clip editing software, and it was like an Xbox thing, and obviously Clipchamp, I think it's called, or something.
I think we talked about this off podcast, or
right.
I seem to recall this in some way. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, so they're obviously still buying things. It's just interesting to see that they're still investing in things that aren't just studios, right? So they're still splashing money. This is still Microsoft. They like still like a small country in terms of the wealth. So yeah. All right. id Software is hiring for another game. Not only for another game, they're hiring for, quote, a long-running iconic action FPS, close quote. What do you suppose this could be?
Quake?
It's got to be Quake, right? I mean, it's got to be Quake.
I'll let's put 100 on Quake.
Yeah, right. The vacancies request applicants that are well versed in fantasy and sci-fi art styles. I mean, and
have played the original Quake.
Yeah,
redacted.
Who have played a game that rhymes with Wake or Snake. Yeah, man. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, we've spoken about the possibility of this, and we spoke about obviously the remaster that they did for the old Quake. That came out a couple months back, and how that was like probably testing the waters, maybe like spinning up a second team to refamiliarize themselves with Quake and things like that. And I'd love to see what a new Quake looks like. As people, I mean, I think we both the same. We've never played a Quake, but after having done a bit of research, it sounds like a very cool universe, and obviously Doom plays fantastically. So all it really needs is a cool new setting. And maybe a few new mechanics to sort of distinguish itself from what the Doom remake has been.
Yeah, for sure. I think I definitely played a bit of Quake on my PC way back when, my family shared PC. I think it was Quake 3. I can't remember, or Quake 2, whichever one had like the green cover art. Can't remember which one it was.
All right.
But yeah, it was good, man. I have pretty fond memories of it as like an FPS.
Nice.
Back when I was a kid. So
wonderful.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll be happy to see it come back.
Wicked. Yeah, I mean, my only hope is that they do something to distinguish it from Doom, because I think when we read about it before, they said it's like Lovecraftian inspired, and that all sounds great, and they make such good looking games. So imagine if they make like a next gen only Quake reboot, Xbox Series X and S exclusive. There's like Cthulhu's wandering around, wow. There's like co-op first person shooter, wow. Sign me up.
Be pretty dope.
DB Marshall, done.
It'd be pretty cool, man.
So we'll have to see. Next up, in some weird fucking twist of events, Microsoft announced a partnership with Sega this week. This happened like yesterday. Did you hear about this?
Okay. I did not hear about this. Sega.
Yeah, it was Sega. It was not like an acquisition or anything, and it's Microsoft. It's a Microsoft partnership, not an Xbox partnership. However, there's some obvious drip down there because it's Sega.
Yeah.
So yeah, they announced a quote unquote strategic partnership with Sega, and the details on it are quite thin, but a lot of it's to do with sharing resources with the cloud, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of a you scratch my back, we'll scratch yours kind of thing. We'll give you good deep access to the cloud and the mechanics and the infrastructure if you make us some sweet games. Because Sega's been a long running wish, I think, of the fans, of Xbox fans, because they used to have good ties with Xbox, and obviously the whole Japanese thing, right? It's a good way to get that hole plugged.
Yeah, to get that foot in the door a little bit more in the Japanese market, for sure.
So I think it's one of those things for now that it's like it doesn't mean much for Xbox in and of itself just yet. It'll just have to be a sort of wait and see. And what is especially telling, I think, about this is that this hasn't really been tweeted out by Xbox channels like Phil Spencer, Aaron Greenberg, even the Xbox like Twitter haven't like really said anything about this. Sarah Bond, who is the head of Xbox Creator Experience and Ecosystem, but also the corporate vice president of Xbox, has spoken about it. So it seems to be like very much a project led by her. But again, it's more of like a focus on cloud. There's nobody anywhere saying we can't wait to produce games with Sega. There's nothing explicit like that. So it's just an announcement at the moment, and it might not really result in anything for Xbox. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, but there's potential. There's potential.
Yeah, plus I don't actually know fucking anything about Sega. I mean, I know Sega does Sonic.
That's pretty much my extent of Sega as well. I'm not too well versed in their products and their IPs and what they do so much. Yeah, but they're big. I know they're big in gaming. So
too much of a little millennial to know what a Sega. What's a Sega? What's a Sega? Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I mean, that's it. We did it. That's the news for this week. It's been a bit of a weird one. I mean, we probably could have gone on and on a bit longer about some things, but we're filming this on a Tuesday night because I was very, very hungover on Sunday, so we didn't do it then. And so by the time you hear this, the reviews for Forza will probably have dropped. I think the embargo gets lifted tomorrow. So, fingers crossed for Forza. When does it come out? It comes out this week, doesn't it? The game comes out this week.
I think it's like the 6th.
I thought it was the 4th. That'd be weird. No, that would be weird because that would be Thursday.
The 6th?
Maybe.
For some reason, I have 6th in my mind, but you want it or should I?
Yeah, sorry, I've already popped it in. 9th, so
5th. Oh,
excuse me.
I love that. 9th, 5th. I think I read the initial release date. Yes, it's November 9th. It's
just trying to beat me to the trigger, were you? You're just like, 5th.
Yeah. Give 5th. It has 5th or 9th. So the 9th. Yeah, man. I mean, what are I predicted something ridiculous, but I'm gonna go a little bit lower. Yeah. I think a couple episodes I did say it would be like
you said like 96 like last week.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but I think it will probably low 90s. I'm gonna go for 91.
I think 91 is sensible.
Maybe 90. Just to be different. What are you going to go with? We'll pick different. We'll pick different scores.
I mean,
whoever wins.
Okay. What are we talking about? We're talking about OpenCritic here.
Yeah, sure.
Rather than Metacritic, just because they take PC reviews into account as well.
Yeah, we'll do OpenCritic. Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, I kind of want to have a look at what Forza Horizon 4 because I think on Metacritic.
No research.
Why not? I think 4 got like 92 on Metacritic, but I'm not sure what it got on OpenCritic, so I'm just going to look, and then we can both hear the number, and then we can both make an informed decision.
Fine.
great. Glad we're in agreement. Guardians of the Galaxy came out, didn't it, this week?
Oh, it did. Yeah, we could talk about that a little bit. Yeah, that's actually quite surprising. I was very surprised at how well received that was.
Yeah, 81.
What did it even out as? 81.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally about to say that's very good. I think for I was about to say for a Marvel IP. I mean, Marvel IPs these days are in great health and like they're doing great, but like previously not so much. So I think I'm still whatever in that frame of mind.
I think it's more that it gave off Avengers vibes in that it was kind of like an uncanny like similarity to the movies, but like not really, you know.
It's Square Enix can be very hit and miss with this sort of stuff. But I'm happy for it because I love Guardians of the Galaxy. They're like some of my favorite Marvel characters in terms of all the cinematic universe. So it's cool to see it translate into a game. Really well.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think it looks good. It looks really pretty as well from what I've seen. So this is a game that I'm actually kind of interested in. I'll probably buy it on like a deep sale if I do ever get it, or if it's if it comes to Games Pass. But I wasn't interested in playing this before, but now I am.
Speaking of sales, did you hear that Deathloop is already like 34% off on PlayStation at the moment? That's pretty cool.
I did see that it got discounted. I mean,
it's nice of the publishers for such an insane. I mean, I'm guessing it sold quite well. It reviewed extremely well, and they're already reducing it so much.
I think it's probably still just the arcane thing of that it doesn't connect with the mainstream audience, especially on PlayStation, because even the hardcore audience know that this is a arcane game, and like Arcane is now owned by Xbox, and it will be the last arcane game they ever play. So like if they haven't played one before and they're like, oh, I could get into this style of game, and then they're like, we're never going to get another one after this, maybe I'll skip it, so whatever. But I reckon it's kind of the same thing where it has not sold that well, but it's been very critically reviewed. But who cares, because they're funded by Big Papa Microsoft now, so it literally doesn't matter. Just keep making good games. But yeah, I did see that. So just to confirm, Forza Horizon 4, 92 on OpenCritic.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I want to go higher than that then.
Okay.
I'm going to go 93.
Okay. I'm going
to say 92. I think it's got a slew of new features, and it's just, my God, the game just looks it's real, right?
It's real.
I'm convinced it's just a real high fidelity 4K camera simulation of a real car driving around. And I think it might get like a point or two bump with the whole forge in Forza sort of thing. That's that sort of vibe. I think that's going to go down really well with the community. So I'd like to think that will bump it up a point or two higher than the previous Forza.
Bump it up, don't you know?
So 93, 92 for you.
That's right. Yeah.
Can't wait to win.
And it's quite fun to think that after Forza Horizon launches, the next game that Playground releases is going to be Fable.
Fable.
It's going to be Fable, isn't it? So
did you know it's actually pronounced Fable?
Is it pronounced Fable? I'm so excited for Fable.
Idiot, I tricked you.
I
tricked you live on a podcast.
You got me again. No. I've been made a fool. Oh, God. Okay.
Let's try and sell it, dude.
I'm going. Yeah. Before you trick me again.
It's better be a clip on Twitter. That was a really good one.
It's midweek. Don't have time. Sorry, mate.
Boo.
So we will catch you on episode 31. Have an apple. Keeps
God
away. And we will see you next week when you're all refreshed. Good night.
Goodbye.